This is Matthew, author, artist, and commentator. I run luminousbeings.blog, where you can find all my articles, stories, drawings, and podcasts. It's time to talk about Kamen Rider Kuuga. So first off, the head writer of it is Naruhisu Arakawa, and it aired from January 30th, 2000 to January 21st, 2001. The head director was Hidenori Ishida, and he had a staff of other directors who would work under him as well. Same thing with Arakawa on the writing. And then the producers, there was a few of them. From TV Asahi, it's Yumi Shimizu. From Toei, it was Takayuki Suzuki, and I think this is actually supposed to be Bandai, because I got Shigenori Takatera. I'll have to double check that. So I just double checked the wiki, and there's no Bandai person included on there just yet. And it actually, the fandom Kamen Rider wiki says it just says Toei is the producer. So I don't know what the deal is there, but it's something I'll look into later for the other writers. The opening theme is called Kamen Rider Kuuga. And it's pretty awesome. The lyrics are by Shoko Fujibayashi. The composition was done by Toshihiko Sasashi, and the artist was Masayuki Tanaka. And interestingly, the only thing that changes for the ED is the artist, which is who is Jin Hashimoto. But Sasashi and Fujibayashi did composition and lyrics again for Into the Blue Sky, which is the ending theme. And I was thinking about this. It's interesting that the lyrics are done by the same person. I wonder if that gave them a greater insight into the show overall, or like if the ED was really plugged into like the meaning of the show, because I'm not certain. It feels like the opening, yeah, but the ED also feels like it's very true to what I observed in these episodes. So I don't know how to answer that, because I'm not going to watch the rest of Kuuga just yet. So I love Kamen Rider Black. I erroneously thought that the Kamen Rider Black suit actor was also the Kuuga suit actor. That's not true. The suit actor for Kuuga is Kenji Tominaga. He did Kuuga, Duke from Gaim, Bujin Gaim, obviously from Gaim, and 15 from Kamen Rider Taisen. So I don't know where I got that information, but it was wrong. Okay, that's going to do it for all the meta information about the show. I'm going to go ahead and move into talking about the actual show on the 3 criteria. So here we go. The premise of Kamen Rider Kuuga is that an ancient evil reawakens. Godai Yusuke becomes Kamen Rider Kuuga and resolves to stop them. To me, it's a really solid hook. I think they sold it well because they show the toll. Let me back up. You get to see the past. Shadowed, grainy visions of Kuuga fighting all these monsters. And then there's one with long hair, and that one falls down, and then you end up seeing that one get up later, and it like reawakens by striking with lightning the ground, and all these hands come up, and it's really creepy and good. Creepy and wonderful, as Chris Carter used to say, or said one time on a video I watched a bunch. Sorry, that's X-Files stuff. The premise is good. I mean, apparently there were problems with these creatures before, these monsters before, and there was a guy who we see in he's the one buried in that sarcophagus, who had become Kuuga before, and he had that belt, and that turned him into Kuuga, this warrior who was able to defeat these guys, it looks like, but not 100%. They're back now, and Godai Yusuke feels called by the belt, and he takes it, and then he kind of has to struggle with being stuck with it a little bit. And of course, we don't get into that much in these 2 episodes, but they begin to show that this isn't something that's going to be easy for him, and it's something he's reluctant to do. And I like that, because it reflects his morals and his ethics, and ultimately he does the right thing, which is to fight and to destroy these monsters. And it's neat. I like how realistic the setting is, that the police can't do anything about it, but that Ichijo wants to do something about it, and he tries because he's a detective and he's all about protecting people. And he does it in a really like like he's bold, and it just anyway that stuff's all cool. And I like that Sawatori or Sakurako, I don't know what I'm going to call her, that there's the science involved there where she's like doing the linguistics to figure out exactly what the belt says and what these runes say at this dig site, and that there's a whole archaeological team, but they all die, and she's like the last left of it. It makes sense why these three would work together, and I remember, because I watched up to episode 10 before, that they do continue to work together and like kind of figure out the mystery of what's going on, and it's all a very good hook, and yeah, that's all I have to say about the premise. So very solid. I like it a lot. I just listened back and I had some audio issues. I think they should be solved by now, so sorry about that. But here we go, talking about the cast. So I like the cast. So to me, at least in these first two episodes, it's Ichigo, I think. Yeah, Ichigo, who's the detective there. And then we've got, Sakurako. I feel so weird about her name. I don't know which one to call her at any given time. And then we've got Godai Yusuke. And I like the trio of them. We got like that interaction between them in, I think it was the first episode where they meet together, and Godai's telling him, oh, this is the translator I was telling you about and whatever. And then, they meet, they go to the police station, and he shows them the video from the site of the, I guess I'll just call it the excavation site. And, that's a bad situation for them. It's disturbing to Sakurako. And, obviously she's not happy about it because all, a bunch of her friends and coworkers are dead now. But focusing more on the interaction between the three of them, it felt very natural. They didn't feel awkward around each other. I think everybody kind of has their own, like they're all operating on their own level, which is a weird way to say that. Like, none of them feels like they're above or below any of the others, and I feel like they all regard each other as equals, and which is good. It's a normal, polite, reasonable thing to do. But like they're equals, and they all serve different functions, and they know that, but not in a fake way, because this is a show where each person does a thing. It's just like they're real people, and they all have different interests and abilities, and like that reflects in their interactions with each other. Like, I don't know, a way of reciprocity or mutual respect. I don't know if that makes much sense, but that's kind of the vibe I got off them. And they, like, Sakurako felt like she would get along with Ichigo well, and Ichigo's bothered by Godai, but Godai feels like he has a sense of respect for him, and like almost an appreciation or an affection, and like he would like to get to know him. And anyway, it's just, and obviously he and Sakurako have a relationship from before, so that's interesting. I kind of want to talk about them as pairs, so I'm going to do that in a moment. There's this great scene where they're at a restaurant, and Sakura gets a call on her cell phone as she's preparing to where is it? At the hotel, I can't remember. Anyway, she's preparing to do some stuff, and she needs both her hands to write in this journal or planner that she has, and she gestures for Godai, and he automatically knows what she wants, and he holds her phone to her face for her so that she can do the writing that she needs to do. And that, and him climbing in the window wearing that mask to try to frighten her, but she's not frightened at all. She knows exactly what he's doing and that it's him and stuff. It, to me, indicates, it shows that there's this really deep and like long-lasting relationship between them. Or, I don't know I think like they're legitimate friends. Like they are friends who have known each other for years, and they're kind of used to all of each other's moves or antics or whatever, and I like that. So I touched on this a little bit earlier before when I was talking about Ichijo. He is a cop. He wants to protect people. He puts Godai up against a wall at the hospital because he sees that Godai is taking things lightly. And it's interesting because it's such a shrewd observation on his part. Watching, like, I don't know. It took Ichijo pointing it out in the show for me to really see that, yeah, Godai's just kind of like having a go at this, and he's not being super serious about it. And like I could see hesitation in him. I think at the end of episode 1, and it comes back in in the beginning of episode 2, he's talking to Sawatori, and he talks about how he's hesitating, which I'll put a pin in that and come back to it later. But Ichijo saw it. He was there. He was on the ground. And like, I honestly think it's interesting that the character himself is able to pick it up because he's a detective and because he's there in the flesh and whatnot. And, maybe it's something I couldn't have picked up, or maybe I just wasn't watching carefully enough. I don't know. I was enjoying the show. I was so engrossed watching that I wasn't necessarily picking up on subtext that might have been there. So, and I haven't gone back, obviously, or you don't know that. I haven't gone back to check, but it felt like a really astute observation on his part. And I was happy that he made that and that he pushes back against Godai. And it's cool because it ends up turning into something, into kind of a big deal for Godai going forward. And I'll get to that in a minute. But I like how seriously he takes his job, but also how, I don't know, it's interesting when he stops Godai at the site, like, again, going to sharpness again, Godai runs in, he tries to pull Michael West, and he's like, oh, I'm supposed to be here, just, sorry I'm late, and he tries to run into the ruins, but Godai doesn't let him, and he, like, trips him up, and then he catches him, and Godai's like, man, officer, you're good, and he is good. He's really good at what he does, and it's impressive that you have, like, such a powerful character in like a support role, and I'd be interested to see what he does throughout the rest of the show. But I really liked how he was able to figure out, this bat monster, like where it was going to be at the church, and like he followed up on that lead, and he was right. And Godai actually, I think, stuck around and followed him to figure out where to go. So that was pretty cool. I like the idea of a protagonist who isn't omnipotent and doesn't always know the right thing to do, but has good ideas and can figure out who the best people are to follow the lead of and look into, or, take the, you know what I'm trying to say. And Ichijo is that kind of guy. So that's pretty cool. So pulling back from the characters real quick, and I'm going to talk about Godai, but I'm going to talk about Shirakawa first. I wonder how old he was when he wrote this, when he wrote Kuuga, what he'd written before, and like, does the guy have kids or not? Because, or maybe it's just because he was writing for children's television, he knew to approach things differently, because I was really impressed by how Godai is written in his opening scene where he's with that kid at the airport. And, man, I don't know. I'm just really impressed by like I don't know. I live in the United States. We're into authoritarian style parenting here, and everybody wants to be an authoritarian and really strict about stuff. Either that or they're completely, like, if they care, they're authoritarians. If they don't care, who knows what kind of attitude they have towards raising their children. But I wanted to be the best parent I could be. So my wife and I have done a lot of reading and a lot of research and a lot of thinking about how we're going to do things. And basically we're at the point where, or what we arrived at is we want to parent with like the utmost empathy we can have. And I don't know how old Godai is supposed to be here. He's traveled the world. He doesn't have kids that he knows of. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. That's stupid. I'm not going to cut it. It's just bad. Anyway, like I'm all into honor culture and like chastity and taking care of your responsibilities and things like that. So I don't know why I would make that joke, but whatever. Maybe I'm just trying to be an edgy boy, which I'm not. Anyway, I will stop and I will focus on the show now. Godai has this great sense of empathy and compassion, and it's interesting because he like he's playing with the kid. He's doing well. First, he's talking to him and telling him like, "Man, cool guys don't cry. Like they smile even when things are tough." And I don't think that's a toxic attitude. I think that's a healthy attitude, depending on how you do it. And I think he does it right because anyway, I'm just impressed that Shirakawa was able to write this because I'm sure he was a young man when he did. And I want to know where he got this wisdom and life experience to know how to write a character like this with so much empathy towards a child. Anyway, without having parented himself or whatever, which I'm assuming he didn't, but just because of the youth. But I could be wrong, or maybe he grew up with a bunch of siblings. Who knows what his family background is? But I'm really impressed by Godai and the way he's written because of this. Anyway, but he's trying to like encourage him, like man, you could be like this, basically. So he's like giving him an aspirational goal, and then the kid's still crying, and then he kind of like sighs and takes a step toward him, and is like, you know what? I understand how terrible it could be to lose your mom and dad. Like, I understand why you're crying, man. It's okay. It's okay. And then he transforms the situation. So he like tries to be aspirational and like set like, oh, this is what you should be doing, kind of, but in a very compassionate and loving and kind way. And then he empathizes with the kid once he sees that that's not working, and he's like just connecting with him as a person. And then because he's a person, because he's a kid, and because Godai has a cheerful, youthful spirit to him, he decides to juggle. I don't know why he's got these 3 balls in his pocket, but he does, and he starts juggling, and it brightens the kid up and changes the mood. And it's really great because you have this whole range of things, and Godai has the wherewithal to try these different approaches, and all of them are good approaches. It's just kind of like each child is different, each person is different, and you have to use different tactics. And that sounds cold, but it's not. It's the truth. Certain things work with, like, if you want to give the most comfort and assurance to a child or a person, you can approach them several different ways. And when you're raising one kid for a few years and these things work on them, and then you have another kid with their own personality and different things work on them, it's wrong. I don't know if it's immoral, but I was about to say it's immoral. It's wrong to try to treat them the exact same way and expect the exact same results. You have to pay attention to who the person is and tailor your interactions towards them, towards what's going to be most effective to help them and to help you. Okay, I think I've talked about the characters enough, so I'm going to go ahead and move on and talk about the design of both the monsters and Kuuga himself. So here we go. So I'll talk about the spider monster first. Well, I'll just talk about them generally, but using the spiders. So these creatures, these monsters, are meant to look like tribal people. They're not supposed to be in armor suits. They're supposed to be, these are like their naked bodies. As you can, well, anyway, you can see their joints, their skin, their toes, their individual fingers. The spider guy has like a mohawk. He's got the spider legs coming out of his head and stuff, and like the bands and stuff for him are wrapped cloth, and he's wearing jewelry like this big necklace, this big ornate necklace. And I wonder if the spider legs on his head, is that a headdress? Because he's got spider eyes, so he's like a monster man or like a creature man. So anyway, and like Ichijo talks about the way his mouth works, because he's got a mouth kind of like a spider's mouth that shoots webs out of it. And then, like, you've got the bat creature, his mouth opens and closes like a human's, and it's terrible and ghastly, and you can see his eyes, and he's got his big ears, and on him, too, they zoom in on his body, and you can see, well, I'll talk about his wings first. You can see, like, his wings run from, like, his wrists to his, like, maybe to, like, his knee. They stretch out there. I mean, a bat is a chiroptera. It means wing hand. He doesn't have wing hands, but, like, you know, it stretches. That's pretty good. It's realistic, sort of. And then you've got shots of like he's getting shot by bullets, and you can see the bullets like popping off of his skin or whatever with the CG effects. But like there's chest hair on him, so like these guys are running around half naked with like loincloths and jewelry and stuff on, and it's very interesting. And it's neat, and they look creepy. Looking at the bat guy's mouth opening, it reminded me of Digital Devil Saga, which is a Shin Megami Tensei game or spin-off game. And there are these creatures that are tribal, and they eat each other and stuff. And you get turned into these monsters, and it kind of reminds me of these guys. So anyway, I like that. I think it's very compelling. It's scary, creepy, and they seem like really formidable foes, especially because Kuuga has so much trouble with them. Talking about these monsters brought to my attention the fact that Kuuga is similarly decked out. He's got ornamental, like he's got gold banding on him, and like some jewels. His belt has a big jewel in it. His forehead has a jewel on it, and he's got these horns. It's cool, his white form, which I think is called growth form. I like how that's tied. Like, there's a reason for that. It's because he's unsure of himself and he's not fully committed to fighting. Therefore, he's not, like, bequeathed with the full power of Kuuga or the potential for the full power of Kuuga. But anyway, it's interesting. It's a black undersuit, and then his body's covered over with armor, and it's, like, jeweled. And I think that's really interesting. Anyway, and then I love the drama of him transforming into the Red Kuuga in the Burning Church, and how that difference in the suit signifies something really meaningful, and they call attention to it in the show, but then you can just see it visually. It's visual storytelling. His horns are a lot longer. I think the jewel's a little more prominent on his forehead. Obviously the white instead of the red, but it's cool because later on you see more of the suit, and he has bands on his ankles, kind of like Spider, and he's got these like jeweled gold and red kneecaps on his knees. I don't know if any of them have it, but then he's got the wristbands too, and then like something on his shoulder. Obviously the belt's very decorative, so it's a cool design, and I like how it mirrors these monsters that ancient Kuuga or whatever is sealed away. So my overall thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Kuuga. It looks like a really good show. I like how grounded it is. It feels like X-Files or Law and Order mixed with Kamen Rider. Like, I made a joke, I don't know where I wrote this earlier, but I made a joke, maybe in my notes for myself, that this feels like X-Files Law and Order had a baby and it was sent to Japan to be raised by Shin Kamen Rider, or Kamen Rider Shin. And I don't know, like it's gritty. It feels very much like a horror movie. The directing is excellent. They know how to build tension. It feels like a very adult drama. It feels very different from modern Kamen Rider. Like Zio, for instance, or even Ghost or Kiva, which are some of my favorites. But I do like it overall. Not overall. I do like it a lot, and there's nothing wrong with those other ones necessarily. I'm just saying it has a very different vibe. And I like it. I like how creepy the monsters are. Again, I like the horror element of it. Kind of like Kamen Rider Black. Interesting, kind of like Kamen Rider Black. There's like a lot of organ music, at least in the first bit of it. And it's very dramatic and very spooky and ethereal. And I like that. Godai seems really great. Talking about his character and the other characters too. I think I covered enough ground there, but like overall, this looks like a really awesome show. And when this project is over and I do other things, I'll be happy to look at the stuff at Kamen Rider. I don't know if I want to do like a week by week, like cover each and every episode, especially if it's going to be 20 minutes like this or more. Just because I got to write and do other things for myself, but maybe I'll just enjoy watching them and have that be part of my life. But yeah, Kuuga looks like it'll be a great ride. Something I didn't mention earlier, they give you a little preview of what all his other forms are going to be. I know Kuuga has other forms. I'm not 100% pretending I haven't seen Kamen Rider before. I'm just trying to approach each thing and judge it on its own merits and what the merits are of the first 2 episodes. But it is pretty cool that they give you a little flash, both in the opening and in the body of the episode itself, that he has other forms and you get to see them in the past. I think that's really cool. I like this idea of the visions, and I wonder like what all that means and what it'll be going forward. But anyway, so for now I'm pretty much done with Kuuga. I really liked this. It was so enjoyable. I'm just going to keep belaboring the point that I enjoyed it, so I'm going to go ahead and stop now. Anyway, I'll just close with a positive thing. I think the message I got from Kuuga this episode, or in these 2 episodes, is that, despite the fact that life is hard and things are difficult, if you put a smile on and try to approach it with good faith that things will be okay, you can make things better for yourself and others. Thank you for your time and attention. I'd love to do more of this. Like, share, and subscribe to cheer me on, or give me feedback to make me stronger and smarter. Visit luminousbeings.blog for more. I link everything I do there, so if you want to comment, that's the place where I'll definitely see it.